Hey, Government's One Fantasy Group. Welcome to Week 5, Mind Your P's and Q's NFL Podcast.
Yes, folks, this is Patrick McNinch, and your ears are not deceiving you. The quality of sound is much better, and that's because one reason and one reason only. I am in the apartment of the aforementioned co-host, Quentin Flora.
Welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think if you had questions like you did in episode 1 about my commitment level to this podcast, me traveling an hour and 20 minutes to come do this show tonight answers any doubts, does it not?
Well, pretty much what I'm hearing is I'm just going to have to travel there next week.
Well,
or weeks to come.
Well, you're hearing whatever you want to hear.
Okay. Well.
This week, week 4 in the NFL, had a lot of interesting things to say the least. We had a Jets win. We had Jay Cutler being Jay Cutler.
Yep.
And we had a hellacious game in Seattle, which I got to take part in, and we will get into here in just a little bit, as this week, our segment of Hawks Talking Colts Corner gets combined.
There's a hawk in the Colts Corner.
You're doggone right there is. So this week's episode of Hawks Corner. As I mentioned last week, I was going to Seattle on Friday, and I still did. Don't worry, those plans did not change. Went to the game, Sunday Night Football. The experience was life-shattering and just changing in general. It was so great to be in CenturyLink and experience that with my dad. So besides the fact that I was there and screaming my face off, starting to get my voice back a little bit now, it was just I don't want to say great game, but it was a really good game for about 75% of that game.
Yeah, 2.5 quarters was a great time to watch.
Yeah. I enjoyed the whole thing, but Seahawks take the victory. I'll let you go ahead and give any stats as far as score. I'm sure you have that information handy.
Well, yeah. 2.5 quarters was a blast.
What was the score of the game?
2.5 quarters was. Here's my stats for the game.
We're gonna skip that last one.
I had through 2.5 quarters of football, I had 2 beers, and through the last half of the game, last 1.5 quarters, I had more than that. So that's your stats for the game. I
guess we'll take this quarter by quarter for this game.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Starting off in the beginning, we moved the ball really nicely. Our first drive, I think we went down and settled for a field goal. Throughout that first quarter, we were playing pretty solid defense, and then you guys got us pinned back in our own end zone. And
both teams are playing really good defense, actually. For the Colts, keeping the Seahawks at bay. Their offense hasn't been great this year, but the Colts defense looked better than they have all year.
Yeah, so everybody probably saw the Russell Wilson trying to get rid of it, and his knee goes down before the ball comes out. They get a safety. At that point, the crowd just goes silent when we see the replay, because we know what happened.
Yeah.
We saw it.
It was pretty obvious, yeah.
But then John Ryan boots a punt downfield. Like, that thing stayed in the air forever. And the game just was kind of back and forth the beginning of that first half, and we could not get anything going on offense.
We had them figured out for something. Our game plan defensively, we came out on the right foot. For sure, against that offense, and then
slowly but surely,
apparently we made 0 adjustments. Which, how are you going to make adjustments at half against a team that you just shut down? You shut down that offense because they only had 3 points. The offense only scored 3 points.
Right, we had the pick six. Justin Coleman picked off Brissett and took it to the house, which just made the place go absolutely
I bet that was insane. Yeah. And it was a wretched pass.
It was not a good pass.
It was a bad play call because you just don't do that. And that's such a baby play. And Jacoby Brissett was staring him down the whole time.
Yeah, well, one thing that's good, though, and they talked about after the game, Justin Coleman said because he had played with Brissett in New England, he actually had a little bit of inside knowledge as far as different looks and formations where he liked to go with the ball. So I think that's part of the reason why he had such a good jump on the ball.
Yep.
But, once we got that lead, which was 10-2, we didn't score the rest of that half, and the Colts marched down the field twice. And there was one play where Brissett, we have everything covered perfectly, and he just cuts it up the middle and runs down the field. Points at where our corner is to block, and our corner just goes, okay, I'll run over there and get blocked instead of going to tackle him.
Yeah, that was rough. That was I don't know what he was pointing at. He was pointing at his receiver out of position. It was Moncrief out of position saying, "Hey, you're out of position. Stay out of position. Stay over there." And the cornerback just goes, "Well, I'll go over there too."
We had a couple,
really bad.
couple breakdowns. Brissett in that first half had a beautiful back shoulder fade into the end zone pass from, what was it, like a 30-yard touchdown pass to Moncrief?
Yeah, it was 25 or 30 to Moncrief, which was, I mean, the cornerback just didn't get turned around.
Yeah, he didn't get turned around, but he defended it really, really well. So we, of course, Blair Walsh shanks one right before halftime. So we go into halftime down 15-10.
15-10, yeah.
And as you're texting me, just viciously over halftime, like, are you watching this happen? Blair Walsh is just sitting there kicking 58-yarder after 58-yarder.
Which was crazy because you texted me that and saying that he was just making all these field goals. And they came on the broadcast and was saying, like, well, he can't hit a thing. He's horrible.
Now, he was also kicking them between 58 and 60 yards, just aggressively punting. And some of them were going in, some of them weren't. They were doing a Seahawks Hall of Fame type of jersey retirement on one end of the field. So this cool thing was happening on the other end. Blair Walsh was taking all of his anger out on this football for missing a chip shot right before halftime.
And what was crazy was they showed 7 straight field goals of him when they came back, of him missing 7 straight, and showed no other field goals, as if he had just sat there, came out, hit 7 shots, missed them all, and went back into the locker room and just started crying to himself. Like, that's what they made it seem like.
So coming out of halftime, I think we had just a touchdown drive we put together really quickly, and then you guys might have had another touchdown with Turbin.
Yeah.
And so the game was still just really.
Well, no. The Turbin touchdown was in the first half.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't have a touchdown in the second half.
That's right. You guys had you got a field goal after we got our touchdown.
Yes.
So it was still a very, very tight game. It was either tied or within 3 points.
It was 18-18.
With 6 minutes left in the third quarter. And that is when the wheels just really came off for the Colts, and we got that strip sack. Marcus Smith sacked Brissett, and Bobby Wagner just, from my angle, I was on the 50-yard line, and I'm like, okay, he's going to get tackled there. And he just broke one tackle, and it's like, okay. He breaks another tackle, and he's in, and the place is just getting louder and louder, and people are just going out there freaking rockers.
The only person that could have made a couple tackles, well, there was a couple guys at the beginning that could have made a tackle and just straight up didn't. They just rolled down him. But then T.Y. was like, about the 8-yard line, T.Y. was running right beside him, and he was like, no. I mean, it's Bobby Wagner versus T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton would have needed 25 yards to take him down. So
after that, I mean, it was kind of, it started to just get out of hand. I guess we don't really need to go play by play after that, but we went ahead and got a big win. My take on the Colts is that you guys aren't as bad as people have been saying you are. I mean, you just between the first and second halves is where the problems is. But the Seahawks aren't going to be as good as everyone's going to be saying they are after this week. Oh, okay, they're picking it back. I still think we have some issues as far as pass rush is concerned, and just getting going offensively. Hopefully that'll be the catalyst. How Russell Wilson's awesome touchdown run got in there, but hopefully that'll be the catalyst for our offense. But I'm not. We'll see this week when we play St. Louis if the Seahawks are who we thought they were.
Yeah, I mean the Rams always play the Seahawks real hard. It doesn't matter what those two teams are at; they play that game hard.
We'll get into that game a little later, but I guess the final take is, as far as your Colts are concerned, yeah, they're 1-3, but do you still think that there's any kind of shot at giving anybody trouble in that division?
No, probably not. I mean, the Titans are better than what they look like versus the Texans. They really are. They're a good team. And the Texans are obviously, I mean, they put up, 57 points. Like, that's, if you do that at any point in the season against anybody, that's insane.
Yeah.
So those two teams alone are really good.
Yeah.
And I made notes last week for our podcast, and I didn't actually say this, but the Colts are the worst team in the AFC South, and that is very hard for me to say.
Even with the Jaguars?
I think so. I absolutely think so. I mean, maybe we might at the end of the year come out on top of the Jaguars, but to actually grab the wild card to even come out of the AFC South is not happening.
You just have to,
Yeah, I mean, there's just no way. There's no way. This is Andrew Luck's supposed to be practicing this week, not playing in the game this weekend, but at least practicing, and people are like, hey, this is where it's starting to come around. It's like, sit him.
Final thing I'll say, if the Seahawks can get a win this week against the Rams, and our offense just puts a lot of good drives together, I think I'll be convinced that it was just a slow start. And Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick, if you look at the stats, are just historically bad in September. We just don't play well to start the season, partly because they rely on a bunch of young guys to come in and do jobs that most other teams wouldn't let them do. But my thoughts on the Colts is, if Andrew Luck can come back in and you guys can go on, if you guys can just kind of go 50-50 until he gets back from this point on, there's a chance. So you're saying it's a slim one.
There's a chance.
There is.
Yeah, so, I would say my take from the Seahawks is exactly what you said. At the beginning of the season, they were supposed to be one of the best teams in the league. I don't think they're going to be that, but I think this is their start on the upturn.
Right.
I don't think it's a huge all of a sudden 180 turn to being the greatest team, but they're definitely on the upswing, I believe. Right. So they just need to pull it together for 4 quarters.
That'll conclude this week's episode of Hawks Corner and Colts Talk, and we'll move then straight into the fantasy recaps from last week.
But Pat, before we move into the fantasy games, let's just take a quick listen to the guys who keep our podcast free, the advertisers. Is your old ride keeping you down? Does it smell like a big pile of poo? Then come on down to DeLong Auto Group. Conveniently located in Kokomo, Indiana. Our experienced sales rep can put you in any collar card you want. Well, unless we don't have that collar. Our hours will be from 9 to 5 during the week, but if the doors are locked, expect our sales rep to be there in just a few moments. Not a damn chance we'll be there on the weekend. We'll be at the lake. Interested in boats? Come on down to Coon Lake. We got those too. DeLong Auto Group. Never exceeding, but always meeting expectations.
# Lake Life. First game, I always just go by the order on my computer, so that's my game, Ralls of Fury versus Cousins are Eli's forte, Adam Krabaum. And I honestly wasn't sure what to think, because going into the Seahawks game, I was not looking good, and probably the only reason I came out with the win is my 2 Seahawks. My Seahawks defense scoring 29 and Russell Wilson scoring 29. Yeah. And besides that, I made a couple really bad decisions. I sat Alshon Jeffrey because he hadn't been doing much for me, and then within the first 5 minutes of the game, he has a touchdown. I'm like, good decision.
Yeah. I mean, this...
back to Adam's bench again.
Adam's team is terrifying. I mean, they can put up 170 and then come back next week and barely have double digits for their player.
Right.
Who is this guy? This team has not figured themselves out yet.
And Adam's still not
Still not.
Just pick up some free agents.
Fill those
spots because
there are hundreds of free agents out there. Just pick up the top guy.
With Chris Carson getting injured in our game, Eddie Lacy will provide a little bit more value for him.
But
I think the big thing that's going to help Adam's team moving forward is the injury to Dalvin Cook for the Vikings, because he has Latavius Murray, who was literally started. He started Latavius Murray in this game, and I'll give you the stat of this. The 3 games leading up to this, Latavius Murray had 0.6, 0.6, and 0.5 points.
Oh my gosh!
He had 3.9 only because Dalvin Cook tore his ACL.
Yes.
So Adam was showing a lot of faith in him there. But Adam, throw a few trades out. I'm starting to not think this big 12-team league trade is coming. But you got to fill those spots.
I'm losing hope in that. I don't know. I don't even know what to say, because I don't know what this team is yet. And do I have to wait until week 11?
Yeah. 2 things about my team. Ty Montgomery broke some ribs for the Packers, and so he's going to be out for me next week. Luckily, that LeGarrette Blount pickup last week is going to be huge for me, because I can throw him in the lineup, and he ran like a madman last week. So I got some bye weeks coming up next week. But
how long are you keeping Adrian Peterson down there?
Well, I don't know. Let's just say I have some waivers in.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
I was hopeful, and it didn't really work out. So we'll move on to the next game, which was Steeler Virginity, DK DeLong versus Tequila Macklin. I will say Mecklenburg. I'll say it again to keep it 3 weeks in a row. Nate Hammer crushes DK 154-98.
Put up some big points.
Those teams are both 2-2 now after the first 4 games in the season, and I mean, Melvin Gordon has a bad game as DK's first-round draft pick, and Demaryius Thomas just continues to be a disappointment. I don't know if there's any games where he had a good... I'd have to look that up, but
I'm looking.
It seems to me like he's maybe had 1 good game out of 4, and
He went 9.2, 10.10, 12.8, and then 1.6.
Yeah, the guy is every single year in fantasy. Besides Peyton Manning, the guy is not a fan of people, but people will take him in the third, fourth round every single year.
Every year.
And other than that, I mean, for DK, his team didn't really play that bad. He had nobody on the bench, but his guys that needed to play well, with Melvin Gordon being a high pick and Thomas being a high pick. Besides that, he had some solid players in that game. Yeah. The big story for Nate, scoring 154, great week for him, is that Dalvin Cook injury.
That's going to hurt.
Because Bilal Powell is going to be a wild card.
I got to say it right now, Nate, if you're listening, I talked mad shit about Bilal Powell last week and said that he was a trash player and that he shouldn't be starting. He should be third string at best, and then he puts up 27. So I'm going to talk trash about him again. Am I playing Nate next week?
I don't know.
If I'm not playing Nate next week, then I think Bilal Powell is trash and should be third string, and he's going to have a big game. So you're welcome, Nate.
He's got Tevin Coleman, Rob Kelly, and Andre Ellington, but Coleman's going to be on bye week, and the other two, I guess the Dalvin Cook is a big drop for him. But this is the first week Nate's team's kind of clicked on all cylinders.
Yep.
So then, what a week. We move on to the great cookie traders, Quentin Flora versus From the Window to the Raws of Brian.
Streak win.
And Quentin Flora gets his first win of the season.
Folks,
let's hear it.
I got a streak going.
So give us some details on your game.
So, first of all, I mean, obviously,
Actually, let me interrupt you before you give any details.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm at the hotel before I leave for the Seahawks game and call you because, once again, we have a podcast we're doing currently for NFL, and for the second week in a row, you played an inactive player, and I tried to text you. I don't normally do this for anybody.
And here's the thing: I saw the text.
Did you?
And I went on there, and you were like, "You better get on there in the next couple seconds and change it." And I go, "What are you talking about? I have no players that I have in that are even close to injured." And so I look on my lineup, and I see that Michael Crabtree has decided to just sit out this game.
Yeah.
And I missed it by literally John Brown. The time on John Brown was 14.45. And I was like, shit.
Lucky for you, it wasn't a game changer. That would have really just hurt because Cooper Kupp had a very nice game.
Yeah.
Besides that, Brian's team just kind of floundered. Nobody exceeded 16 points. And Keenan Allen did that without having a touchdown. So
yeah,
his Cowboys defense had a half a point. Really, I mean, you got lucky, but I don't want to have this conversation next week. Like, stop playing inactive players.
All right, I hear you.
Our next game is John versus Matt for getting Brandon Marshall. Gets the victory over Young Hoes Ain't Loyal. So John is in the same boat as you. Gets his first win this week against Matt.
We're coming out of Mom's basement now. Here we go.
Yes, Matt drops into third place at 3-1 in the league, and John still in 11th, but he got a win. Okay, he got the win this week. Some kind of comments I have on this one. John gets his first win and gives Matt his first loss, but Matt gets just absolutely O.J. Simpson stabbed in the back by Jay Cutler. He goes all in, pushes the chips all in this week, and Jay Cutler just says, I'm going to be Jay Cutler.
I'm going to be the guy you thought I said this last week. I was very surprised by the Jay Cutler pickup. And then I go on here to look that he's starting him, which even got me more surprised. Maybe his thought was him and Drew Brees, they're just going to gun it down the field all game. That didn't happen, but maybe that's what he thought.
Yeah, but the sad part is John's team played very nicely. Had a lot of guys that just had solid games. A bunch of guys around the 20-point range. But if Matt plays Jameis Winston, he wins this game.
Yes.
If he plays Jameis Winston, and who did they play? The New York Football Giants, okay, who have not won a football game, Matt. I don't know if it was a homer pick. I'm not saying that. I know you don't like to be called out about that kind of stuff, but I'll just say Jameis Winston gets you the victory.
Yep.
And for getting Brandon Marshall, props to John. Way to get the win. But
Damn.
Jay Cutler ain't loyal. I'll tell you that right now.
That's for sure. But here's the thing. Now, you got Cam Newton and Dak Prescott. He started Dak Prescott. You're welcome, John. I gave him that advice last week to say, hey, go ahead and start Dak instead of Cam because Cam's struggling. But unfortunately, I was wrong.
Yeah, that would
should
have
have
been
started Cam.
But let's just take a second and go ahead and clap for Fairbairn there for the Houston kicker throwing 18 up on John's scoreboard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hell of a game. 6 point after attempts, 3 other field goals, and he missed one. So
Yeah, he missed one.
I guess when the Texans are scoring 95 points a game, you're going to get a lot of kicker points.
Plus he gets tired and he just misses one. So
Young Hoku, God bless you, 6 points. That wasn't the game right there. It was really needing to play Jameis Winston in there. And if John would have lost with 120, I think there would have been a tantrum thrown.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll move on to the next one. In my opinion, the best game of the week as far as being tight. That was O'Doyle Rules Mitch versus the big Gronkowski Ethan Stanifer. And I gotta say, this kid Ethan Stanifer cannot catch a break.
Tough loss.
Loses 116 to 112, and I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at the standings here. I am number 1, not bragging, but number 2, just underneath me is O'Doyle Rules at 4-0. We are the 2 undefeated teams, and we'll be actually playing each other this week, so
that's awesome.
We'll see how that works out. But Mitch, no, it's again not offense, still the second least amount of points scored in the league, and he has not been beaten. So I know I got a guy injured, I got a bye week guy, but if I lose and Mitch has there's a chance. There is a chance Mitch could be undefeated in first and have scored the least amount of points after next week.
That's an absolute chance.
John scored the least amount so far this year, but Mitch is not, he is not far behind.
40 points, yeah.
So there's a chance if John goes off this week and I lose to Mitch, he has the least amount of points scored and is undefeated.
Yeah.
Let's hope that doesn't happen, but I guess looking more into this game, besides just feeling bad for Ethan for just continuing to lose by tight margins, if he plays Kirk Cousins, just like in Matt's game, switching quarterbacks out, if he plays Kirk Cousins, he wins this game.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz throws in 17, and he had Kirk Cousins on the bench with 24, and that he wins by a couple points if that's the change.
Is that... I'm confused by that start. I'm confused by starting Carson Wentz over Kirk Cousins. Maybe because it's Kansas City.
Because you're going against Kansas City's defense.
And especially on Monday night because Kirk Cousins is now 0-5 on Monday night. But after the week he had last week, I think I would have gambled. With him. You're 0-3. I'm gambling with everything. With inactive players, I'm gambling with everything.
So, Ethan, we feel bad for you. Mitch gets another win. Congrats. You're just scrappy. You're finding a way to win. And that's how you get in the playoffs in this league. And then the final game of the week, berries and fucking queries. Dylan Crosley against Welcome to the Dog Pound, Rob Harretts. And Dylan gets the win. Rob moves to 2-2, and Dylan is, I believe, in 4th place. Let me check here. Yep, Dylan's in 4th place at 3-1. So, good job, Dylan. Narrowly wins 110 to 104. A good pickup by Dylan, by the way, before this game. Will Fuller for the Texans comes off injury. And Dylan grabs him off free agency, and he's on his bench. So I think that'll definitely help him coming up. But for Rob, has Aaron Rodgers and Todd Gurley really are the only people that carried him, and he did not really have any other contributors besides that.
No.
Everybody else was below 8 points or below. So
Todd Gurley went off this week, and it's fun to see him go off like that because I think he is a fun player to watch.
He is.
But when you back it up with the rest of his squad there, it hurts. Gotta hurt.
Yeah. So I guess that concludes our fantasy from last week. What's good about this, even though we've got a couple teams that are 3-1, a couple that are 2-2, a couple that are 1-3, and then one that's 0-4. I mean, Ethan Stanford's still not out of it yet. Nobody is out of it.
Nobody's really out of it.
We've seen years where 7-7, there's a big tie at the very end, and people get in. So it'll take some movement from him. But, got an interesting start to the season so far, and that concludes the fantasy recap from week 4.
All right. We're going to take a minute before we start on the week 5 game picks and pause for our advertiser.
Hello, my name is Dylan Crawley, and I'm the head golf professional at fucking Fall Creek Golf Course in Pendleton, Indiana. Please come down and enjoy our beautiful 2,800-yard golf course through the rolling, unmown hills of Madison County. What I can offer you is not purgatory, It ain't Augusta, but it's a fucking golf course where you can have a goddamn good time. You come into the pro shop, I'll treat you right. On the first tee, I'm offering free back massages to all bitches with tits sizes big C, double D. Anything bigger than that, you bet your ass I'll go forward and backwards for you. I'm the cart girl, I'm the goddamn professional, and you want any lessons, it's all in the hips. I'll be on the driving range any hour you ask. Once again, Dylan Crawley and Golf Professional, you come down to Lapel, and we'll take you out for a great time at fucking Fall Creek. Our number is 1-800, call fucking Dylan Crawley, or message him on Facebook for a fucking tee time anytime you want.
All right, we're back. We're going to do the Week 5 Pick'em games. Like you guys all know, it's Matt, Patrick, Quentin, Dylan, and DK. So this week we have a little bit different. Patrick has not put his picks in yet. Not because of he's just lacking the fact that he's done it. It's the fact that he wants to do it live on the show for you guys.
Yep. Add a little spice to the show every single week.
We like to just, keep you guys on your toes and really bring some excitement to this. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say the game, Patrick's going to make the pick, and then we'll go through who everyone else picks.
Let's be honest, we're going to talk our way through this game. It's not going to be a rapid fire, I just fly off the handle.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk like we normally do. So
I've had enough trouble. I don't need to be going rapid fire on this. First, what is actually the recap, the standings right now?
Recap of the standings. Let's do that before we move on. After week 4, so remember, we didn't play week 1. We have week 2, week 3, and week 4. Sadly, I will say Dylan Crosley is at 32 right and 16 wrong. He is leading. In third place, Matt, Patrick, and myself with 27 right and 21 wrong. We're nipping on the heels of Dylan. He has a bad week. Yeah. We're right there.
Yeah, we will be.
Now DK's at the place where he should be, 25 right, 23 wrong. So we'll leave him back there.
All right.
Make a heroic comeback, maybe.
If you pick every upset, you could have a great week, or you could be DK.
Yeah, or you could be DK. So, here we go. Patriots at Buccaneers. Patrick, who are you picking?
That's Thursday Night Football.
That is Thursday Night Football.
I don't even need to ask any questions. I'm going to go ahead and take the Patriots there.
Okay. Now, I will let you know that I picked the Patriots, Dylan picked the Patriots, and you picked the Patriots. But that's it. Matt and DK both went with the Buccaneers on this one.
I just like what's your justification for that? I get that the Patriots lost to the Panthers, and their defense is not good.
Their defense is not good.
But the Buccaneers' defense was not very good last week either.
Is it that Jameis Winston is similar to Cam Newton? His playing style is similar to Cam Newton?
I don't think so. I guess it could be a decent game because their defense has been so bad this year, but I just think Bill Belichick will find a way to outcoach, and they will find a way to win that game.
Yeah, that's honestly, I would put more trust in the Patriots offense than the what can be rickety Buccaneers team.
Yeah, and here's the deal with the Patriots. I was just seeing the highlights like, oh, look, they're down by 14 with 8 minutes left. Cool. Good for the Panthers to get that win. And I blinked, and it was a tie game.
Yes, exactly. And it's happened every week. The Patriots have been down. They were down against the who were they down against? The Texans earlier. Yeah. And they almost lost that game and won it in the last second.
If you throw the ball every single play in the NFL, you'll get penalties. The clock doesn't do anything, and you can get back. So
it is.
I'll take the Patriots.
Okay. Next game, Bills at Bengals.
I mean, I'm happy the Bengals got the dub last week. They showed a little bit of life, but again, they were playing the Browns.
The Browns are bad.
I will take the Bills here, and props to Micah Hyde, representing 419, Foster, Ohio, getting 2 picks last week for the Bills. And I don't know if the Bills are one of those Rams of last year where they start off really hot and you're like, oh, is this a good team? And then at week 7 you're like, no, they're still not. But just got confused by the first quarter of the season. Yeah. But I'm going to take the Bills there. I think Tyrod Taylor, he and Charles Clay, if McCoy can come in and contribute a little bit, I think they got a good ball club.
That Charles Clay had a real good game last week.
He did.
So Bills across the board for everyone.
Okay. So a little surprising.
A little bit. But I'm glad to see that everyone's coming to my side with the Bills.
Oh, finally. We don't need to relive last week.
So, last week, I was the one who picked the Bills over the Falcons. Only one.
It was a great pick. I'll give you that.
Okay. Next game. Speaking of the horrible Browns, Jets at Browns.
And last week,
in Cleveland, in rumbling Cleveland.
Last week we also addressed this and said a certain somebody went on their own and picked the Jets last week, and we said if they won, we were just gonna the Jets aren't playing this week.
Yeah. Yep.
But we'll give them a little shout out. Props to DK picking that game. The entire time I saw them being close, I'm like, God damn it, we're gonna look like idiots. They're gonna get it done.
Yeah.
So,
but this is what you get for doing a podcast.
You put yourself out there.
Put yourself out there.
I'm actually gonna take a stab and say the Jets just had a fluke week, and I'm gonna think the Browns are gonna do it for their home fans.
Really?
I'm gonna pick the Browns.
Okay. Well, you're alone on that one.
Yes, I'm actually loving that.
Yeah. So
you guys should all be worried. You
actually,
picked the Jets.
Yes. I am legitimately worried about that. Now that you've picked the Browns, that makes me worried. If you would have went the Jets, I feel like it would have been a no-brainer.
And Brian, on our league, if you're listening, you're welcome. Somebody showed a little love to your Browns, okay?
Yeah. Somebody, because no one else is.
Yeah, one person.
Panthers at Lions.
I'm gonna guess before I make my pick that somebody's gonna overreact to their win against the Patriots last week, but I will be taking the Lions.
You and everyone else took the Lions.
Okay.
Everyone took the Lions. No one overreacted to the Panthers pick.
Good.
Yeah, I almost did. I was almost like, oh hey, they just beat the no.
Yeah.
Let's back it up because I remember 2 weeks ago when they were awful.
Yeah.
So
and the Lions are gonna be back home. So.
Yeah. Let's not.
And they're gonna go forward down the field. Your favorite theme, your favorite touchdown
Horrible.
theme.
Awful. Okay, here's a big one. 49ers at Colts. At Lucas Oil. Coming back home. We had a long flight home. 2.5 good quarters.
Why don't you convince me why I should pick the Colts?
Because it's the 49ers. It's the 49ers! Come on!
The week before, when I asked you, do you really believe the Colts can beat the Seahawks? I was sitting there in the stands going,
Yep.
I don't like this at all.
Quentin had something.
But one of your points was that Andrew Luck is practicing potentially next week, which was a ridiculous thing to say last week. But he actually is
practicing this week.
So
all that energy,
all of it,
all that energy in Indy is going to come right out.
I think Chuck Strong, Pagano. I think.
Stop saying that.
I think I'll go with the Colts. I don't know why. I don't know that it's a great pick, but I'm gonna take them.
Yes, me and you only.
Oh shit! No, I am not hyped.
Yes,
that is not something I'm excited.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Patrick and Quentin are going with the Colts.
Oh.
Everyone else on the 49ers. It's us against the world,
I'll be honest,
Patrick.
we do a podcast. I like rooting for your team,
Yep.
but
That's gotta make
and
you
I do
feel
have to root for them because I want them to beat the 49ers. So
Yeah, of course.
all right, don't feel
There you
super confident about that one, but let's get a game on the
Let's
other
see, here
three
we
with
go.
that.
Yep. Titans at Dolphins.
And the Titans went ahead and broke my heart last week.
My goodness,
go
that
ahead and
was unexpected.
They beat the Seahawks, and I'm like, riding that high. Give them respect. We'll pick them
Yep.
over the Texans. And then they just get, and your favorite adjective is they got throttled.
Throttled.
Last week.
Yes.
So what are we looking at again? We're looking at the Titans and who?
At Dolphins in Miami.
I mean, Jay Cutler doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, and I just know that Jay Cutler will turn around and throw 3 touchdowns to Jarvis
That's
Landry.
exactly
and
what I was
I'm
gonna
go.
say.
God damn it, Jay.
Yep. Because that's Jay Cutler. That's the way he is. He'll play so bad.
They didn't score again. The Saints don't have a good defense. And
Saints have a horrible defense.
They did not score.
Yeah.
But do I pick Jay Cutler to turn the Jekyll and Hyde? What do we know about Mariota? Is he out?
He's out. He is.
I'm
almost.
gonna fuck it. I'm gonna say fuck it.
You know who? Hold on. Do you want to know who they brought in?
I don't know they brought anybody in. I know Matt Castle is the backup, correct?
Emmanuel.
They have a new receiver.
Emmanuel. Right?
Rahm Emanuel, mayor of Chicago.
No, come on. Emmanuel.
E.J. Manuel.
E.J. Manuel. There he is. He's coming into play.
I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. Just take a flyer. Take a flyer. Am I going on my own?
You're not actually.
Fuck.
You and Dylan.
Don't say DK. Okay.
You and Dylan are both on the Dolphins squad, but I'm on the Titans because I don't think that the Titans are going to play that bad again.
Well, the rest of the league should thank me because at least we know for sure Dylan's not going to get one on everybody there.
Yeah, no kidding. My goodness.
I don't feel confident in that pick at all because
I just don't see how in the world with all the weapons that the Titans have on that offense are going to play like that again.
Here's the thing: the Dolphins they went across the pond. They got confused. They got jet lagged. Now they're going to be in South Beach. They're in Miami. Tennessee's coming to them. I'm going to say with total confidence the Dolphins are going to win that game.
Just switch it completely. All right. Next up, Chargers at Giants. Luckily, not in Los Angeles because no one would be watching.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, I picked them to beat the Eagles when no one else did, and they broke my heart the last second with a field goal from the Eagles. What happened last week? A last-second field goal from the Buccaneers beats them. I have to think they're going to win a football game. I just have to think they're going to win one. But at the same time,
they don't have to. It's the NFL. They don't.
Frick, this is a tough one. This really
one is a tough one.
I'm gonna say that Melvin Gordon is gonna break out a little bit in this game, and I'm gonna take the Chargers.
Really? Okay.
Well, can you tell me what? Don't just say okay. We're not moving on. You have to tell me.
Next game. You are taking the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
You and DK have taken the Chargers. I am completely on the bandwagon of the fact that the Giants cannot lose another game. They're going to pull it together to win a game.
Did you see the picture of Odell Beckham's finger?
Yes. And there was Adam Schefter's tweet where he said, like, this is why McAdoo said his finger was sore. It's bent completely backwards.
I don't know. What do you mean by sore?
Sore? That's broken.
Yeah.
That's surgery. That's what that is.
What happens when a guy breaks his leg? Like, he just has to walk that one off.
Like, sore, get him an ice pack and bring him back in. No, what? Ugh. Next game. Cardinals at Eagles.
Historically don't have a lot of success being just me and DK together.
No. Or anyone with DK.
What's our next game?
Burns. Cardinals at Eagles.
I don't think the retirement home of Palmer and Fitzgerald can come save another game like they did last week. And by the way, that was me and DK who were on the wagon of the 49ers against the Cardinals last week, and we lost in overtime, so it was actually pretty close.
Yeah.
My assumption is that the Cardinals are not going to be able to pull that off. So,
going with the Eagles.
I will be taking the Eagles and Carson Wentz.
Across the board, Eagles. Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals have it.
But we don't.
I think the Eagles are a little bit younger. They're boring, but they're a little bit younger.
But the game doesn't matter because everybody picked the same one.
So, Jaguars at Steelers.
I mean, is Antonio Brown gonna act his age or his shoe size? Like, come on, dude. Ben Roethlisberger throws you the ball 90% of the time, and you throw a fucking hissy fit. He misses. Yeah, he missed you
on one throw.
Okay, I get it. Like, you were wide open. Cool. But it's Ben Roethlisberger. He's thrown you so many great passes. You're a douche. I will still take the Steelers.
Okay. Yeah, that's cross board as well. That one's a pretty easy one. Jaguars are.
I'll change my pick. Just kidding.
Ravens at Raiders.
The Raiders have had a couple bad weeks now, and Derek Carr is out.
Derek Carr is out.
I'm trying to remember
2 to 3 weeks.
Who's playing quarterback?
I don't know actually.
Once again, while Quentin's looking this up, again, I want to give all props to Derek Carr. He gets his back broken in the game, and then once again apologizes to his teammates. Because I was gonna say E.J. Manuel was the backup.
E.J. Manuel is the backup.
So
that's where I got it switched up. So there's 2 quarterbacks, young quarterbacks that got hurt, Mariota and Carr, and I was thinking Titans picked up E.J. Manuel, but no, the E.J. Manuel is at the Oakland Raiders.
Okay.
Yeah. That's who's supposed to be playing.
But once again, he breaks his back and apologizes to his team. Like, he is the definition of a leader.
Yeah.
He is a leader.
And a badass.
He is. And, sorry, who are the Raiders playing again?
The Raiders are playing the Ravens. Raiders at Ravens.
And the Ravens are the picture of consistency.
Ravens at Raiders, sorry.
I'm gonna go Raiders just because they're at home. I think those Ice City Oakland fans will do something. Maybe am I on my own?
You're not on your own. You actually have Matt and DK on your side. Dylan and I are going with the Ravens. It is a toss-up. I purely went with the Ravens because of Derek Carr being out. That scares me. I saw what happened last year when Derek Carr went out. Granted, it was a playoff game, but...
It was Pat McGroin. I mean, he's not going to lead you to the promised land.
He's not going to lead you anywhere, ever. But that was the reason I picked the Ravens, purely. But I think everywhere else across the board, it's a complete toss-up.
Yeah,
that was my swaying factor. Seahawks at Rams.
You don't even need to ask me. Type it in. You know
Seahawks.
what the answer is.
You, me, and Dylan, Seahawks. DK and Matt.
Has Matt picked against the Seahawks every single week?
Almost certain. Okay, I am going to double check on that. No, Matt picked last week against the Colts. He picked the Seahawks.
It was you and DK with the Colts.
Yes. But before that, he picked the Titans over the Seahawks.
I think the 49ers over the Seahawks, too.
He picked the 49ers over the Seahawks.
Yeah, fuck you, Matt.
Yep. We see what you're doing, Matt. You pick one of our teams.
Yeah, I think this is a statement game for the Seahawks because we've been thrown around by Jeff Fisher's Rams the last few years.
Yep.
And this is a statement game for us to get into first place in this division and prove that we are not going to be bullied by the Rams and that we are the second half against the Colts team and not the first half against every other game this year. So I'm just hoping. It's going to be tough to find a game where I don't pick the Seahawks because that won't happen. So there's a 0% chance of me picking against them.
So next game, Packers at Cowboys.
Ooh, this is a good game.
I like
this game.
Yeah.
Ty Montgomery's out, but they have three weapons in Cobb, Nelson, and Adams who are just very difficult to defend. But and the Cowboys defense is not good. They let the Rams move the ball over them all over the field. So for that reason, this is at Cowboys?
Yes.
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come to play, and I'm going to pick the Packers.
Okay. You? Actually, I'll say it differently. There's only one person that picked the Cowboys.
Don't say Dylan. Please be you and not Dylan.
It's not me, and it's not Dylan.
DK?
Yeah.
That's the
so
first...
this could be his.
Yeah.
This could be his coming back game, or at least bring him up a game. Or he could be buried more.
Keep burying him. What are you doing? I'm burying you even farther.
Yeah. So I just don't think the Cowboys really are that good this year. I don't think they're as good as what everyone was saying they were going to be at the beginning of the year.
I just think their defense is bad.
Yeah.
Their offense is good.
Their offense is good. I mean, they have young guys. Their offensive line is still great, and they're good. Their offense is good. But that defense has gotten much, much worse. They lost a lot of guys in that backfield.
Yeah. All right, I'm fine with it. I'm second-guessing it a little bit, but I got the Packers.
Chiefs at Texans. This is Sunday night.
Okay.
Because apparently Chiefs get to play.
Hold on. I got a stat about this because I was watching the Monday Night Football game on the airplane on my way back from Seattle. And actually, let me pull it up on my phone. I think my exact quote that I wrote myself in my notes was, whose dick did Andy Reid suck to get this? Because, including last week, 4 out of the next 5 games for the Chiefs are in prime time.
Yes, I saw that.
What?
What's happening? Why is that happening?
Okay. No. That's my comment. No. You can't do that. I get it. Dylan's at home, snuggled under a blanket in front of the TV. Let's fucking go. It's Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday. I get it. But this is bullshit. They should not be able to have 4 out of 5 games in prime time. There's no answer for that.
No, they have a tough schedule coming up.
Cool.
But who cares? They're under the lights every time. Fuck them. And Cream the Dream apparently gets to just run all over everyone by themselves and show it nationally.
Here's what I gotta say. Alex Smith was fucking pissed that they picked Pat Mahomes in the draft.
Oh,
because
real pissed.
He is playing, and I never thought I'd say this, Alex Smith is not just a game manager in air quotes. He is playing like a very good quarterback.
Yes.
And when they needed to go down and get a touchdown or a score to win that game,
He did.
he scrambled for first downs. He threw some nice passes. Pat Mahomes, I think in the preseason was sitting there like, all right, I could definitely get it.
Yeah.
People were cheering for him so much in the preseason. Alex Smith's here to stay.
Yeah,
Okay, he's not going anywhere this season.
Shut them up
this
for sure.
season.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
I'm shocked by how many the stats that keep coming out about his long throws. I mean, we would constantly make fun of him by the fact that he couldn't throw anything more than a 12-yard slant.
Right.
And now he's throwing 20, 25, 30 yards down the field with accuracy.
Well, good for Andy Reid for opening up the offense a little bit.
Absolutely.
And we are playing
Chiefs
again.
at Texans.
This is a really good, and I'm glad for them that it's prime time because this is a game that people are very interested in seeing because
Absolutely, because
we already know the Chiefs are good. They're the only undefeated team in the NFL. But are the Texans the team in Week 1 who couldn't score, or are they the team that scores 57?
yeah,
Deshaun Watson. I think you said it earlier. Tom Savage, who? What?
Yeah.
How did they make that decision?
no kidding. Oh, I've already ranted about that. Let's not even.
I feel like if I took the Texans, I would feel like, nice. I'm on my own. I might be able to get a game here. But I just have a feeling right in my loins that DK DeLong was like, I'll be the one to take the Texans here. So I'm going to go Chiefs. I think they start off 5-0, hot start.
Okay. You are correct. DK did go to Texans.
Okay.
But he wasn't the only one. I went with the Texans.
You and DK?
Yep.
And anybody else?
Nope. Which makes
How
me
you
uncomfortable.
feeling?
I was really pushing for you to go with the Texans on that one. Had this whole spiel until you picked the Chiefs, and then now it's gone. No, I mean, I think that the Chiefs can't keep winning. They can. I just don't think they will. The Giants are going to win this week, and the Chiefs are going to lose. That's my hot bold take.
I love when you do hot takes.
That's it.
I love your
right there.
So far you've been right with C.J. Anderson. You have been correct.
Yeah.
that was a bold one, Cotton.
Yeah.
But it's held up through the last few weeks.
Yep. That was the coldest take you'll ever hear in your life. now this is a big game now. This next game, Vikings at Bears.
I mean, I have no idea. I haven't done the research, so I have no idea what's with Sam Bradford. Is he coming back ever, or is
I don't know. But the Bears are starting Trubisky this week, so I'm interested to see what.
And this is at Chicago.
Happens. At Chicago. And for weeks now, because I'm up here in Valparaiso, so I hear all of the Chicago radio news. So all of these guys, they've been predicting that this is the week Trubisky comes in because it's a longer week. They're playing at home, and they're coming back to play the Vikings, who is like a primetime game, big game. So you get the whole team's going to be rallied around him more, is what they say.
And the Vikings to me are a little confusing because 2 weeks ago, the Case Keenum show comes out and throwing bombs to Thielen, to Diggs, and all these guys. Dalvin Cook's running the ball well. And then last week, I get it that Cook got hurt, but put up 7 points.
Yeah.
Like, get in the end zone. I'm going to take the Vikings just because they have a solid defense. And Trubisky's making his first NFL start, so there's going to be some jitters there. I think
on Monday night.
I think Trubisky's going to play well. I think what are you going to do? Play worse than Glennon, punting it off his knee to the other team.
Yeah.
And I don't even hate Mike. People overreact about him. He's not that bad.
He's not at all.
The Bears just aren't a great football team. So I will pick against the Bears. Yeah. Do we have any takers on the Bears?
Yes, 2. Quentin and Dylan. I went with the Bears because I'm all over the Trubisky train because like I just said, I am up here with the Chicago News and I hear all about it. These guys have been calling for Trubisky for 5 weeks.
And
all 5 weeks. They are done with Mike Glennon. They're done with bad quarterbacks. They're done with it. So they think throwing Trubisky in is going to save the world. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they're going to be probably disappointed once again for the 200th straight year. But Vikings don't have Dalvin Cook. Sam Bradford probably isn't going to be coming back. and they put up 7 points last week.
I think it definitely evens it out a little bit, but you've got to think there's going to be some first game jitters there. In your defense, and in the Chicago radio guys' defense, there's been some rookie quarterbacks just stepping in. You look at Deshaun Watson, stepping in and just playing well. And he got picked after Trubisky, and you can't really say much about Kaiser because he's playing for the Browns. But
But I mean, they're also talking about how Jared Goff came in last year and played horrible all last year. So bring him in. If he plays horrible this year, he comes in. Jared Goff's playing pretty well this year. You know,
he paid Mike Lennon so much money.
So much. You emptied that bank account for that. Oh man. So that's the last game right there.
So we had a lot that were kind of split there. So there's definitely going to be some guys jumping and falling down the leaderboard next week. So
I'm hoping so. Unfortunately, when you look down the list, I have picked. There's only one game. There's only 3 games that Quentin and Dylan, I'm Quentin, and Dylan have picked different.
Makes it hard to come back.
Yeah.
And if you miss one, it's even harder each week to get back. So that is the Week 5 NFL Pick'em. And guys, if you made it this far, you don't have to get in for the money or whatever. If you just want to pick, but you have to stay consistent with this and get your picks in fast. Just if you want to be in it and do the weekly Pick'em, we'll gladly accept you into it. Even if you don't want to do money, but make sure you're committed to actually doing it. And Quentin will send you the spreadsheet each week to get your picks in.
All I need is your email. If you want to
Social Security number,
Social Security, credit card, like that's all I need. Come on. So just personal message me on Facebook. You know, don't get creepy about it. Just send me your email, and I'll send you over the spreadsheet for the Pick'ems, and we'll get you guys in. Come on.
So this brings us to the last and my favorite segment of the show, which is the Suck It John. Suck It John segment. And I'll go for, I think, great Suck It John segments last week. We talked about getting more involved with the Facebook page and the awful fantasy show that Matthew Berry puts on ESPN.
Yeah.
I'll start this one off. My Suck It John segment has to do with something that I viewed at the Seahawks game in person and watched happen multiple times throughout the league this year and in years past. Here's the scenario. I'll paint the picture for you. Your team's on the 15-yard line going in to score. You run the ball, and your guy gets tackled at the 3, and he's falling forward towards the end zone, and there's a pile, and the guy goes down. So what happens? Rationally, you'd think that a referee would go, touchdown, or he'd wave his hands and say he's down at the half-yard line or 1-yard line. Now, here's an epidemic, that is happening in the NFL right now. The ref on each side of the goal line will just sprint towards the pile and just stare at each other and have a fucking staring contest. And just see who flinches first. I don't know if they've got their finger on their knee with, like, in a little circle, like you're going to get 2 for flinching, and they just have to stare at each other's eyes. Make a fucking call. They just stand there and stare at each other until one of them flinches into a touchdown or does something. Somebody make a call. They're running up there and they're just deciding which they think will have a better chance of not getting overturned. Do your job. Go up there. Make a call whether it's a touchdown or not. What are you doing having a powwow in the end zone? If we did this in other facets of the game, what if after each play, ref just sprinted nose to nose and stared at each other and decided to call holding or not for 10 seconds after the play was over? There is no excuse for this. The league, I am going to write a sternly worded carrier pigeon message that will deliver sometime in the next 3 months when I send it in. But come on. Suck it, John. Do your job, refs. Make a call at the goal line, and don't wait for a earpiece referee from New York to call in and tell you what the call was. Suck it, John.
Oh, brilliant. That was a good one. I'm going to move to my Suck It John, and mine's a little different. Mine's about the Colts game. During the Colts game, this was happening. And I don't want to talk about the whole players kneeling, things like that. My personal opinion, I don't really care about it. Whatever. Easy, Dylan. Calm down. So,
America.
One of the guys I follow on Twitter, I follow a ton of Colts guys on Twitter, and I try to follow stuff along with the games. It's always fun to see what people are saying. And one of the guys says, now this is a quote from his exact tweet, "This is weirdly ironic. No Colts take a knee and have had 2 questionable calls where Wilson's knee was down."
Referencing Russell Wilson, where his knee was down in the game.
Exactly. Referencing the fact that the Colts came out with a big statement at the beginning of the game and decided not to take a knee or sit down. And then we had 2 challenges that challenged Russell Wilson's knee being down. And he connected those 2.
So because they didn't kneel.
Because they didn't kneel, obviously the challenges were going to go our way. Which, that's insane. That's psychotic. Don't put that kind of Nazi propaganda out into this world. Are you kidding me? You don't tweet that. And now, if it was like, Jane that was down the street sitting in his mom's basement while he was watching the game and wants to tweet that, whatever. While he's reloading his AR-15, I don't care. Now, that's fine. But you are this guy, let me look, hold on. This guy it's not very many. He has 1,300 followers. He's an editor and a co-owner of Indie Coverage, which is an indie sports coverage magazine, I guess. I don't know what it is. But you are there to put news out, and you put that out? You psychopath. Go back home, stop watching this game, and stop being an idiot. I retweeted it and said, wow, that's a stretch of a comparison. And this jerk-off has the audacity to reply to me and says, "Ha, my mind sometimes works in weird ways." Yeah, it does.
Meanwhile, in his mom's basement, he's got a map and the size of a wall, and he's got just red yarn connecting things that have no business being connected.
Oh my gosh. I'm angry about this because it made me angry as soon as I saw it because that is insane. This is how things get spread that shouldn't even be uttered in the world. This is how all of a sudden we think Tom Petty's dead, and then he comes back to life, and no, now he's actually passed away. Rest in peace.
She's a good girl.
I mean, come on. This is how the kind of crap that happens. Somebody comes out like CBS, they're pretty small, and says, "Hey, Tom Petty's dead." And then everyone's upset, everyone's sad, and then they come back out and say, "Oh, by the way, JK, gotcha, bitch."
And then they go, looks like what happened was
JK.
in Puerto Rico, there was a storm, so that's why Tom Petty died. Like that's when we just start making comparisons for things that have no
sense. If you are a person who is doing some kind of coverage of sports, don't do that. You jerk off. Suck it, John. Suck it.
So that is our beautiful and wonderful Suck It, John segment. Really concluding our Week 5 show. Everybody, good luck in fantasy. We've got, like I said before, there's a lot of opportunity for guys to climb up or drop down. So the playoffs are still very much in reach for everyone. A lot of interesting games. And continue to listen to the podcast. Please comment anything. If you think we're idiots, comment. Say anything underneath this.
Type words.
We are having a blast doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you guys are listening to it at any point. So.
Yeah. If you literally type 5 random words that make no sense to this and try to make connections that don't make sense, fine. At least you're there.
At least we'll put you on Suck It John next week.
We sure will. Yep. All right, guys. We're out. This is the best podcast we've had because we've been in person. Next thing up is we're going to record ourselves watching this.
Next time we do video, if we do video next time,
it could get out of hand for sure. All right, guys.
Have a good week. Dun 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 dun, boom 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 boom.